Well, welcome back to the Smith Family Story, that 9-part series that we're working on in caregiving, where I take you over my shoulder and show you what really happens inside a family when aging starts changing everything. This is part 8 out of 9. And if you've missed the earlier videos, then go back and start there first. Hi, I'm Suzanne Fasella, a retired physician assistant and healthcare advocate who teaches family caregivers how to go from emotional chaos to strong leadership in senior care with more confidence, less exhaustion, and the right resources. I don't fix problems. I teach caregivers how to fix their own problems. So let's get back to Mary. What Mary didn't expect was that once her parents felt heard, they responded in a way that surprised both her and Dan. I already told you that. But what do I mean by that? By now, you can probably guess some of the things I noticed about the Smiths. Yes, I saw the walking problems, right? He's slow to get up. He doesn't use his cane. And then I saw the need for better foot care, especially on Mrs. Smith. And yes, I saw places where medical clarity and safety guardrails would really matter. But those weren't the hardest part of all of this. The hardest part was never the recommendations. Anybody can do those. It's the structure. Anyone can Google fall prevention, and anyone can suggest physical therapy, and anyone can tell them to go see their podiatrist, and anyone can argue about whether older parents should move or not. All right, we can look that all up and we can go on AI and we can see what they suggest too. That's not the hard part. Very few families can sit in the discomfort of reality long enough for something deeper to happen. Once Mr. and Mrs. Smith felt heard, the tone began to change. Mr. Smith no longer felt like everyone was trying to manage him. Mrs. Smith no longer felt like she had to quietly carry everything alone. And Mary no longer felt the same urgency to push, convince, and fix. That surprised Dan too, because the moment people start feeling cornered, or stop feeling cornered rather, they often become far more open than anyone expected. Not always immediately, and not perfectly either, but enough for the family to breathe again. Very important. That is what so many loving families miss. They think the answer is in the next recommendation. But recommendations are rarely the hardest part. The harder part is helping people feel safe enough to tell the truth about what they want, what they fear, and what they can realistically live with. And then to stay the course, to keep a new mindset stable, to acknowledge when old habits have crept back in, to recatch the new way of doing things. That is where steadiness begins. And that is why this kind of work has to be built carefully, not as a quick checklist, not as random advice, and certainly not as emotional rescue, but as a structure strong enough to hold real people, real choices, and real uncertainty. That's what we're looking for. And what happened next with Mary and Dan and the Smiths made that even clearer. Because once the pressure in the room eases, each person had to go home and face a different truth. But alleviating the pressure sometimes results in creativity, ideas, energy, and then we are on to the next chaos. This is what happened. The Smiths decided it was time to renovate their home and make repairs. Unsteadiness rears its ugly head again. Mary was now worried they were doing it all wrong. Dan thought they were not getting the best contractors. He's a money guy, so he's looking at this. And so another conversation begins. And this is where they have to go deep again and figure out what they can work on together. It's a whole new situation, but now we have a little more trust than we did before. I'll see you in the last video, but I have to tell you that sometimes I feel like I'm hurting cats when I help families, especially when Mr. and Mrs. Smith decided to renovate their home. They were going to go gangbusters on it, and doing this without that structure is so important. So we build that first. See you in the next video.